Hi guys, this is Irene with another Tin Hat Chronicles. This one is going to be Black on Black crime versus Black Lives Matters. And yeah, I guess I'll just dig right into it. So, Black Lives Matters. I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matters or Black Lives Matter, sorry. From a Christian perspective, I just don't get on with organizations that promote homosexuality. I don't like the emergence that everybody is trying to kind of put momentum behind, that being Black and being gay are the same thing. I really dislike that. I don't want me or my people included in the homosexual rhetoric. It's not the same thing. When you see me, you know that I'm Black. I don't have to do anything but walk into a room, unless you're just a flaming homosexual and just super effeminate and just doing the most. Nobody knows that about you. Moreover, I was born Black. I can't change that. It's my phenotype, and being gay is not a phenotype. Arguably, you weren't born that way. Like I said, arguably. And yeah, the two things are not equivalent. So that's one reason I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matter. The other reason I'm not a fan of them, not to say that Black lives don't matter, Black lives do matter. And I can understand wanting to make extra emphasis on that if there really is an issue with police brutality being more prominently directed at people of African descent. But, with that said, I also feel like it comes to this place where if, you say Black Lives Matter, the natural argument is, if Black Lives Matter, then what about Black on Black crime? And then they start to make all of these ridiculous comments. Well, what about white on white crime? Well, the institution, and racism are the cause of that. Poverty is the cause of that. Blah, 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 right? No accountability. And I think if it was a genuine movement, that would be a focus. I'm concerned about Black on Black crime. I'm concerned what's going on in the poorer Black communities. I personally didn't grow up in a ghetto, but that doesn't mean that I don't care about that. And it's not just police brutality that we need to be worried about. We definitely need to be worried about the violence and the terrorism that goes on within these communities, because most of the people in these poor communities are law-abiding citizens. They're good people, and they are under the thumb of people who are just plain wicked and just doing things that they have no business doing. So that is a valid thing. If Black Lives Matter, let's not just focus on police. Let's focus on, I don't even know why I did that when I said police, but, let's focus on abuse towards Blacks, period. Even if the perpetrator looks like them. And so I really dislike disingenuous conversation. This kind of polarizing thing where you either have to totally just roll with this or you have to totally roll with that. The problem is that it really kind of empties out the possibility of actually dealing with any issues. And I say that even to the people that say, well, what about Black on Black crime? Look, one thing doesn't negate the other. You know what I mean? Black on Black crime doesn't cancel out the fact that there's police on Black violence at numbers that are unacceptable. even if those numbers pale in comparison to how many blacks are killing each other. Like, neither one is good, you know? And the fact that police may harm black people more doesn't cancel out the fact that black people are hurting each other too in a lot of these poor neighborhoods. And so whether white people are doing it to each other or Asian people are doing it to each other too is completely irrelevant to us wanting to solve problems within our communities. And I think this sort of level of comfort with just playing dumb and, you know, making excuses and not wanting to deal with all the elephants in the room, just the one that's blocking the kitchen door, is a problem. And it doesn't further us as a people. So when I think of Black Lives Matter versus black on black crime, to me, I'm like, out with an organization, because, you know, I just don't like things that are funded by the wealthy, period. I just don't like it. I think once the wealthy media, you know, the wealth-owned media gets a hold of something and gives it any flame, any fuel, any airtime, then we need to be concerned about that. I know, you know, everything is set up to divide. You know, I've heard that Black Lives Matter chants a lot of things that are inappropriate about police. And then, you know, because black people are very, you know, attached to these issues, they're scared to separate themselves from them. It's like separating yourself from the NAACP. Like, sometimes you got to separate. You have to realize that everybody that looks like you is not your friend. You know, everybody who claims to petition your cause is not about you. And in an honest conversation, we really need to deal with protecting our people as a whole, protecting the lives of our young men and our young women as a whole, but specifically our young men as a whole, and not just cherry pick. You know, they're cherry picking because there's a political agenda behind their behavior, right? But we don't live in a political agenda, the average person. We live in the real world, all right? So while they're furthering their political agenda with your energy behind it and by getting you all riled up because there's an end game that they want, which is a level of power for them. And by them, I mean the wealthy people. Do you know what I mean? People who are never going to come into your neighborhood and have dinner at your table. People who are never going to have the struggles that you have. People who only care about you when they need some fuel behind their, you know, their movement. Instead of getting invested in what they say and their causes, we need to start working within our own communities. You know, we need to do neighborhood watch in the black communities. We need to know when to call the cops. Okay, so the cops come in and they deal with a lot of, you know, do things that we don't care for. Well, then let's self-police as well. There's citizens arrest for a reason. You know, we need to put our foot down against the monsters in our community that are making us all look bad, because they point at those group of crazy people that are breaking the law and they try to make it like that is all of us. And it's not all of us. It's not most of us. It's not who we are. It's not historically what we're about. You know, and then while we're dealing with that, we can deal with the police issue. But, you know, you got to come at the war from multiple fronts, you know, and not just have a one-sided perspective, because the media and, you know, organizations that are funded by people with money are telling you that you need to come at this from just one front. They don't really care about us. They don't really care about us. We have to do things for ourselves. Marching is not going to stop a drug dealer from dealing at the store that you have to go to with your children. Marching is not going to stop anything. Action. Action meaning in my community. Action meaning we make it an uncomfortable place to be for criminals. Action meaning if a police officer is acting inappropriately, 15 people pull out their cameras. Action, us working together. Everybody is made accountable. Make the police accountable. Make the drug dealers accountable. Make the pimps accountable. Make the thugs accountable. Make these people accountable. Watch them, report them, give them a hard time. Film the police. Call the cops on the criminals. Do it. Use every avenue you can. The Panthers did show us something valuable about self-policing. Self-police. These same radicals are the ones that don't want you to be armed. You know? We have to get to a place where we don't get caught up in the hype of the wealthy and we really think about the solutions we can do within our communities. What can we do? If there is police violence in our communities, we film every time we see a cop. If there is drug activity in our communities, we use those same resources to get these people arrested. We film them too. We turn them in. We self-police. Our men, we need our men to get together and make it clear, this is not a corner you can be on, brother. We're over this. We're done with this. We're done with you. And whoever the you is, we're done with people that hold us back from progress as a people. We're done covering for you. We're done tolerating your mess. We have to come to that conclusion. We have to reach that place. So yeah, Black Lives Matter can kick rocks. They can get on about their business. We need to do this for ourselves. Who's there every day and every night in these communities? The Black Lives Matter people? The cops? No, you're there. We have to care about what's going on in our own spaces and not be afraid, not feel overwhelmed. Those of us who are good outnumber those of us who are bad. So we have to work together to solve the problem. And we can. I want people to give some thought as to what that looked like. I mean, I'm just off the top saying what I think. I'm like, film everybody. Film the drug dealers so that you have evidence so that they can be arrested. Because they need to go to jail, whether they're black boys or not. Film the cops so that they can be held accountable for their behavior in our communities. Put together policing forces of our men so they can bounce people off corners. Does it put them in danger? Yes. But you know what? We cannot progress if nobody's willing to put their neck on the line. And if it's your choice to be complacent, then that's your choice. But I encourage you to not let it be your choice. As a group, we are held back, or as a group, we progress because they lump us all together. And no matter where you rise, your experience and the way you are viewed in some way is going to be tied to the whole. And we have to stop letting the minority of us drag us all into the mire. We have to stop. It's just a thought. You think about it too. talk to you guys next time.